Daniela Cambone. Many of you might know me as the editor-in-chief and anchor for Kitco News. So I normally do cover precious metals, but I also do look at the cryptocurrency space. So when LODE came to my attention, I thought it was really interesting. LODE is looking to construct the world's first cryptographic silver monetary system. And to explain more of this to me and to our viewers today, joining me today is David Smith, who is a LODE ambassador, and he also works closely with David Morgan over at the Morgan Report. David, nice to meet you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Very good. Nice to see you this morning, Danielle.
So like I said, I'm definitely an expert when it comes to precious metals. On the crypto side, I'm still learning. So can you give me an overview here of what LODE is?
Well, I'm a serious student of the crypto space myself, still learning. This project, the LODE project, is very exciting. It's bringing together a community of like-minded individuals that have the desire to restore silver as honest money, and tying that to the blockchain using digital methods to do that and to record it. And it's definitely on the verge of becoming a paradigm shift, which will empower people around the world to be able to use silver digitally stored as honest money and as a medium of exchange.
And we're going to dig a little deeper, into how the system works. But before we go there, would you say it's a cryptocurrency then? Is that a correct label, or is it more than that?
It's much more than that. You can think of it as a crypto asset. I think that's kind of a broader term. It'll serve as a currency in a sense because people will be able to spend one of the two items that will be created, the AGX coin. But think of it as a monetary system and something far beyond what you see out there in terms of other perhaps imitations where cryptocurrencies are being created with the idea of being backed by silver or gold. But really they're more of a two-dimensional situation that doesn't really, it's almost like a storage of the metal versus some aliveness to it where it actually functions as a store of wealth and use by a community, by the people.
So it's different than a Bitcoin, for example, because it's actually backed by physical silver.
Right, it's backed by tangible silver. 1 gram of silver, of investable grade silver per unit is backing that, and that's a really important thing.
So David, bring us into the mechanics basically of how this system works.
Well, the system was created by like-minded individuals who have vaulted physical silver in 999, either bars or coins. And this silver is now vaulted in a number of locations, primarily at SWP in the Caymans, our primary vaulter, but there are several other locations around the world. We have participants from over 50 countries. We have several thousand vaulters that are participating. We have many, many thousands on our list at LODE.one. It's LODE.one, our website. And what's been going on and is still going on is the vaulting of silver, where people will send in their own physical silver that they may have in their own possession, and they go to the website, sign up an account, and make the commitment and then send that in. The silver is sent in by FedEx to be vaulted, securely vaulted and audited. They also may choose to buy from SWP themselves the silver or from another silver vendor and send that in as well too. And then that is logged onto the blockchain, and their record of that is immutably placed on the blockchain, getting ready for what's going on now, which is called the token, the TGE, the token generation event, where the grams of silver will be rationalized with the exact number of LODE tokens that will be created to represent that.
And David, let me ask you, because this system works on a 2-token basis. Why 2?
Well, the first, the LODE token is where it's going to be the creation of the monetary mass that will propel the unit, the LODE project, with the cryptographic silver project, and able to function as more silver is added to it. So the contributors now, and have been and continue right through the TGE, to vault their silver, they are creating the mass of silver that will allow the project to function. And then when the LODE tokens are created, then the next step will be to create AGX coins. And those coins will be used for spending, for a unit of account, the number of different uses that they might have, and we can discuss that more a little bit later if you'd like. But we've identified almost a dozen uses, and more will probably come up that we haven't perceived yet as the market kind of tells us what it would like to do with it. But the AGX coins will be able to be redeemed for silver. They will be able to be spent for other items, perhaps changed into fiat money. So they have a real variety of uses, and they also represent a store of value. And that's the great thing about it, because storing physical silver on an individual basis can be a little bit awkward, but think about having digital silver on your cell phone that could be used to store value, to spend, or to redeem at your demand from one of the vaults somewhere in the world.
So David, who owns the silver then?
The silver is owned by the LODE token holders, and these are the people that have vaulted the silver, and they're basically going to allow the people of the AGX coins that buy those to utilize that silver. And the utilization process, whether it's spent or redeemed for other things or held onto, that will generate micro rewards which will flow back to the LODE token holders in the form of AGX coin.
Okay, so at any point they can request to get their silver, to exchange it for silver?
The AGX holders can request it for silver, or they can spend it in other ways.
And is there a minimum amount that someone has to purchase to get started?
The minimum amount to start is 100 ounces of investment grade silver, and those tend to be in the form of bars or coins sent in and vaulted and securely stated in the secure vault.
So let me ask you, obviously silver has had a very difficult year. Silver investors just getting crushed here. How do you deal with the volatility of the silver price, and has that affected the business model?
Well, you know, it's interesting. In one case, it might have had a small effect because people think, oh, if silver's weak, how can the LODE project be strong? But the reality is that the LODE project is really not dependent upon the price of silver to be successful. It's dependent upon the response of the marketplace and people finding that yes, this has utilization. It's a store of value. It's the ability to be spent, and you can earn micro rewards for it and things like this. And so that aspect is far greater than what the price of silver will be. And of course, we all want to see silver go higher, and the indications are that that is very likely to be taking place going forward, because if you know, historically, silver has been around a 16-to-1 silver to gold ratio. And now it's up to 80 or 85, which is really, really some of the highest levels. I think one time, some years ago, we saw it at 100, but this is almost as much of an outlier as that is. So that type of relationship tends to move back towards some kind of center mass, and I think that's where we'll be headed over time in that regard.
David, you mentioned the TGE event earlier. What happens after that?
Well, after the TGE, the AGX coin will be created, and people will still be vaulting during this time. The AGX coin will be created after the LODE participants have received the receipt for what they have contributed, and then that will be launched in probably February of next year. So things are moving forward very consistently, even as new contributors are loading more silver into the vault, and many contributors that have been members in the past are continuing to do so.
And before we wrap here, David, I know you mentioned it earlier, but just to reiterate here, if one is interested in participating, where can they sign up? Where do they go?
They go to LODE.1, that's LODE.1, and there's a content-rich website there. You can see where you can sign up to receive information on an ongoing basis of what we're doing. You can sign up for an account and go to the space where you decide how much you'd like to contribute, a minimum of 100 ounces of investment-grade silver. And when you do that, then you'll be walked through just what you need to do. It's a very simple process, very straightforward.
And for many watching, I know there's a lot of jargon, there's a lot of buzzwords that we use when we're talking the crypto space. So you guys are there to really walk people through the process, right? Answering questions and...
Very definitely. And you know, everyone in the community is absolutely vested in the idea of bringing silver as honest money back out into circulation and on the digital aspect of the blockchain. And you know, I've worked with David Morgan for almost 2 decades, and he has been a proponent of somehow getting money back, silver as money back into the system. And one of the people that early influenced him was Hugo Salinas Price of Mexico. And Hugo has gone around for several decades talking to people and trying to introduce a physical, the Libertad 1-ounce coin, into as a parallel currency, which was basically approved by all of the governors of the states of Mexico, but there were some, not so much interested in by the central banks, but they actually, were trying to do this. But I don't think either one of them could have imagined, if we were having this conversation 5 or 6 years ago, that something like the LODE project could ever happen, let alone that it's almost now a reality. So that's very exciting. And I think when people go to our site, they'll see that the paradigm shift is on the way, and they'll want to become a part of this to help not just themselves, but to help people around the world, because this will empower them to take back some ownership and some ability to affect their own financial destiny.
Yeah, definitely a game changer here. David, thank you so much for joining me. Before we conclude here, do you have anything else you'd like to add or share?
I'd just like to say that this is a momentous event in my view as a LODE ambassador, and I hope that people will give us a look and go over to the station and read the articles, the website at LODE.1, LODE.1, and I think they'll be very pleased, and I suspect that many of them are going to want to join, become members of our community.
Well, David, I wish you luck with it. Thank you so much for joining me. I know I definitely learned a lot today. I hope everyone watching did as well. Thank you.
Thank you for having me on.